Vonemo says, so orc face? Exactly, right? So now orc face is seen as offensive. Well, you're not actually an orc, so therefore you can't dress as one. That's the cancel culture that we're now a part of, right? So, of course, in the big news, Halle Berry has backed out of a project where she was going to be she was going to be acting in a role and playing a trans character. And so she has since been canceled, essentially, or has been pushed and pressured enough to pull out of the role because, obviously, she's not trans. And so we live in a world now where actors cannot act. Because if you're going to say that, right, if you're going to go to that point, then we have to do that for everything. What that means then is that every extreme that you can think of must also be as offensive. So what you're saying is that you have to be paraplegic to play a paraplegic. You have to be, mentally handicapped in order to play a mentally handicapped person. Do we now go back in history and say, oh, Forrest Gump was offensive because Tom Hanks was not actually mentally handicapped? You see the problem that arises? And then, of course, I mentioned this already in a video on the main channel. Voice acting then becomes a complete joke because characters have been voiced by people of various races for years. The Simpsons themselves are yellow. They're not even white. They're yellow. It's a fictional universe. And yet now, oh no, we can't have any white voice actors doing anything other than white characters. But if that is true, then okay, if you're going to do that, then that means that any non-white character, or rather any non-white actor or actress, that if they do voice work for something that is of a race that is not theirs, that means that they can't do it either. It's got to go both ways, right? And while we're at it, Bart Simpson, hey, bye lady that does the voice of Bart, you're not a boy. You got to get canceled too. And if you start making exceptions, if you start saying, oh, no, it's only for cis white men. That's the only people this applies to. At that point, the only people being discriminatory are the people canceling, right? And that's the problem with the entire cancel culture, is that it's so, one, counterintuitive, but also it's hypocritical as well. Because the same people that are going after the white voice actors that do the voices of like Apu and, all the other characters of color on the show The Simpsons are going to completely ignore the fact that Bart Simpson has been voiced by a woman for the past, 20 plus years. Are we going to go back in time and cancel Rugrats because Tommy Pickles, a boy, was also voiced by a woman? These are the questions we have to start asking. And then you see just how ridiculous everything is. Because either the standard is applied equally across the board, and we truly enter into clown world, or you pick and choose, and then your argument falls apart, and then I mock you. Either way, whether it's clown world or not, I will still mock you. However, you could at the very least have some sense of dignity, or at the very least consistency, if you are to treat every single person the same. But they don't care about that. They don't care about treating people the same. All they care about is pushing some woke narrative to fit the times, and that's all that matters. We've already talked about before, right? Does that mean that now any time we have Darth Vader portrayed on screen, James Earl Jones, he can't do the voice because it's a white actor, right? It's a white character. That logic would have to dictate to that too. Someone in the chat mentioned anime, right? So now we can't have any English translations of anime? We can't have... Basically what it means is that, it's actually even more than that, we can't have any dubbed versions of anything. Because again, let's use the same logic. Wait a minute, that's a French actor. And this person doing the English version, he's not French. Same logic. What's the difference? There is none. With the logic they're using, there is none. Right? That's the clown world that we live in now. Because it's only going to be applied one way, one direction. Like the band. But not like the band, because it's real life. And yes, I did just imply that the band One Direction's not real life. How meta is that? You can have fun with that all you want. And now a huge shout out to all of my Patreon members. Albertus Magnus, Animation Commentator, Brian P., David Bobrizik, Dion, DivX, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Honker Chonker Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Intertrap Productions, Jason Clark, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toone, Jonathan Carney, Kenneth Camille, Lady T, Laura Story, who is the modern Major General, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange at Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Out of Step with Reality, Riff Magos, Rosetta Ellen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, The DJD Show, and Tina B. Thank you all for being my Patreon members, and a huge shout out to my Subscribe Star members, Stand For, John B., Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Darkstar 57, Alex McCarthy, or J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J. Rod the Beer Guru, Nevadan G. Adams, and ZK Man. Thank you all so very much for being my Patreon and Subscribe Star members. Seriously, you are the wind beneath my wings. You help keep the lights on. You help support things like the giveaways for my $5 and up backers, and also allow me to do a lot of the extra stuff for the channel, including the exclusive OMB podcast that I do every couple of weeks with John, the Flick Pick of the Flick Pick channel. And yeah, thank you so much for your support. Don't want to really drag it out too long this month. You guys are amazing and beautiful people. If you want to have a name shout out, if you want to have access to giveaways, podcasts, any of that kind of stuff, check the links in the description for Patreon and Subscribe Star. You guys rock. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless.